Yeah, so unfortunately, immediately after Sean was born, I started to feel very down, like in shock a little bit, didn't really know what was going on. But before that had been felt really ready to be a parent. You know, I was married, I was very fortunate, had a great supportive partner, a home, good jobs. And we were ready for this. You know, I felt really like this is going to complete my life, picture perfect, Instagram family. And as soon as he was born, I just felt like something really bad had happened. So I think there might have been a bit of PTSD there, like a lot of women experience immediately after delivery. But it just got worse and worse. And looking back now, I can see that postnatal depression had set in very quickly, and it just got worse when I got home and over the months, and up to a year really before I did anything about it. Things just got worse and worse.
So, because you've spoken a bit about anxiety, and
Yeah.
I'm sure at the time you weren't too sure exactly what was wrong with you and
Yes.
where your feelings were. Looking back on it now, you know it was postnatal anxiety, depression.
Yeah.
Why? What was your thoughts of postnatal depression at the time?
I think I had a very bad perception of what postnatal depression was. I don't really know, you know, what I thought about it, but I did not want to associate it with it in any way. All I knew was it's not me, it's not what I want. I couldn't say the words. I wouldn't even admit to myself that I had it. And very unlike me, didn't talk to anybody, including my sisters and my mum, which then I knew this is not you.
So it was kind of taboo.
It was taboo. There was a really dark cloud around it. And I thought maybe people who didn't want kids or weren't cut out for motherhood would have got postnatal. And that's a terrible thing to think. But I had a really bad perception, could not speak about it, and felt so much shame around it.
But let's be honest, you're not alone thinking that's for others. That's for people who don't want a baby. I want this baby. What things were you experiencing, Caroline?
So just on a day-to-day basis, it would have been exhaustion, brain fog, fatigue, so much so that your bones ached. And I know, like, women recovering from a delivery have a lot of physical symptoms, but this went on for months when I should have been fully recovered. Rage, just complete exhaustion all the time, very emotional, crying every single day, and just feelings of, you know, when you did get some sleep, when you were lucky enough to get some sleep, not wanting to wake up. And that's not right. Like, that was not. And then constant guilt for not enjoying this perfect, healthy baby that you're lucky enough to have. So the guilt kind of impounded everything and just made me feel so bad that I couldn't speak about it.
Did you feel, though, that you weren't bonding with Sean?
I did at the time.
Which, as a mother, I'm sure... That's, you know, because there's so much expectation.
Yes.
And then when you feel, like, even though you were bonding with him, you feel that you weren't.
I thought I was going to have this explosion of love the minute I held him in my arms and that everything was going to fall into place. And instead, I was in a lot of pain and I didn't know what to do and I was in shock. And that just got worse. So the guilt from that of I'm not bonding with my baby, I didn't feel that explosion of love, I'm a terrible person, I'm a terrible mother. Looking back now, I can see I was bonding with my baby. I was doing everything with him 24/7, but it was never enough in my head. You were constantly feeling like a failure. I was out walking with him 3 times a day. I was making all his meals. I was feeding him, you know, doing tummy time, doing story time. But it was never enough. And I just felt like I was the worst person in the world. And now I know that that was a hormonal imbalance, something quite simple, and it's down to science. But at the time, and if it had gone on, it just would have got worse. It's such a shame that I missed that joy for myself. You know, he was being tended to, he was fine, but I was rock bottom, and I'm sure a lot of other women are.
I'm sure there's people who are watching this at home right now that are understanding what you're saying. They don't know why. Caroline, this is all happening to you. It's your first experience of being a mother. And your partner's there, and of course he's trying to make everything better, as men try to do. What happened to make you go, okay, there's something up? What made you realise?
So 2 interventions, I suppose. In between lockdowns, I saw 2 friends, and both times I was very upset, as I was every day. But because of lockdowns, I couldn't see people much. And they kind of contacted each other to say, she's not okay, what'll we do? They contacted me together and said, look, we're here for you. Would you consider going to your doctor? And I was like, what? No, absolutely not. You know, I'm busy looking after my baby. Couldn't possibly look after myself. And then I met a stranger in the park who probably saw something in me that she recognised in herself. She had 2 children. And she said, how are you getting on with your baby? and just the vacant look. At this stage, I was numb. I'd stopped crying, and the vacant look, and she just reached out and touched my hand and said, I found it very, very tough. And I went to my doctor and he put me on medication. And medication to me was a dirty word. I was almost shocked that she's speaking about this thing that we do not talk about. And she gave me her number and said, just please. And it took a stranger, because I didn't want to disappoint anyone. Didn't want to disappoint my family, my friends, that, oh, she has a healthy baby, she should be. That was in my head. And eventually, after nearly a year of feeling like this, I went to my GP, who was amazing.
Wow. It's a stranger to reach out like that. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, I still have her number in my phone. Yeah. Like, I've thanked her numerous times.
Amazing, yeah.
But my GP was amazing then in the end. He recognised it immediately as well.
And gave you medication.
Yes.
Of course, it took you a little bit of time before you took the medication as well, because it's a mental barrier.
Yeah.
And as you said, it was like a bad word almost.
Yeah.
But what difference did it make?
I want to say immediate, but it took a few different dosage tries, just because your physical makeup, like, you may be deficient in vitamins, you may need more than the other, and I needed to increase the dosage a couple of times, which was another taboo for me. But it worked very quickly, and I started just to feel like myself again. There was no side effects of, feeling drowsy or feeling different or feeling like putting on weight or anything like that. I just felt like, oh God, I'm not actually the worst person in the world. And I started to laugh. I hadn't laughed in a long time.
Wow.
I was just feeling a bit of joy again and just back to myself. Like, that's all it was. It doesn't fix everything. If you had hormonal bouts throughout the month, like a lot of women do, you'd still get them. It just helped me get back to myself. Stresses and all, just back to myself. And it was a gift, really. So I could enjoy them again,